We'll start off with the most recent, Victor Oladipo, who's fallen off since his injury, hasn't been the same since the 2018 season. The second pick of the 2013 draft didn't live up to the hype at first with Orlando. After 3 failed trips to the postseason, averages of 16 points, 4.5 boards, 4 assists, 43% shooting with the franchise sent him to the Thunder alongside draft pick Domantas Sabonis and Ersan Ilyasova for Serge Ibaka. The 6'4" guard spent a season with Russell Westbrook's Thunder, averaged a subpar 16 points, 67 games, wasn't a reliable second option, disappointing in the 2017 postseason, failed to step up, traded to Indy alongside Sabonis for All-Star Paul George, a franchise who was looking to rebuild. The 25-year-old had his breakout year, upped his averages to 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, led the league in steals 2.5 a game, made all defensive first team, an impressive feat. Believe it or not, the Pacers finished 48-34, 6 games better than the previous year with PG, earned the 5th seed. No one else on the team averaged more than 15, good enough to make 3rd team All-NBA over the likes of Klay Thompson and Bradley Beal, fell to LeBron's Cavs in 7, didn't have that great of a postseason. Injuries derailed the following year, suffered a ruptured quad tendon in his right knee, missing over a full year, never found his rhythm. Pacers went just 11-8 with him, 34-20 without, had fewer touches, wasn't engaged, part of that James Harden 4-team trade to the Rockets, played 20 games in H-Town before being shifted to Miami for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk and a first, only to undergo season-ending surgery on his right quad after 4 games. With many elite guards today, Oladipo now viewed as an afterthought. DeAndre Jordan, CP3 turned him into an All-NBA player not once, not twice, but 3 times. Can you believe that? It's still an absolute travesty to this day. It's a fact that DeAndre Jordan made first team All-NBA in 2016, something that will never make sense. Wasn't even an All-Star that year. That's how pathetically awful the center position was, as Joakim Noah was breaking down, Dwight Howard being a knucklehead who received a bad rap for his attitude, and before the emergence of Jokic and Embiid, even teammates Blake and CP didn't make an All-NBA team in 2017. Many players in the guard spot way more deserving. There were more elite perimeter players, and the center spot being the weakest during the mid-2010s, Jordan was unfortunately one of the few options. The fact that superstar Embiid hasn't made a first team in his career yet and might never make it because of his injuries, and DeAndre, whose name will always be on this prestigious list, Embiid way better, will make absolutely no sense. The fact that the great Hakeem Olajuwon didn't even make any All-NBA team in 1992 because the center spot was too loaded, and even ended up on 3rd team in the 95 season despite being the best player in the game, and DeAndre Jordan made first team All-NBA, once again an absolute travesty. Over the last 40 years, DeAndre Jordan's by far the worst player to make first team All-NBA, and there's not even a close second. If you can really convince me there's somebody worse than DJ making first team, I'll give you an absolute travesty t-shirt for free. Also, the fact that DeAndre freaking Jordan made first team and 94 Shaq, who averaged 29 and 13, made 3rd team. What a nightmare for the center position in the mid-2010s after Shaq's retirement until Jokic and Embiid became stars. My goodness. Goran Dragic, 2014, made 3rd team, but wasn't even an all-star in the loaded West, averaged 20.6 assists on over 50% shooting for the 48-34 Suns, the only good Suns team during the middle of their postseason drought, also the most improved player, responsible for Phoenix's 23-game turnaround, one of the most underappreciated European stars the game has seen, didn't make the all-star team till 2018 with the Miami Heat, played some of his best ball in the 2020 bubble before suffering a foot injury in Game 1 of the finals, which ruined the Heat's chances for Rio. Has the player option for 2022, the 35-year-old would be a great vet and mentor if he ever teams up with the young sensational Luka Doncic, both Slovenian, both also from the same city. Al Jefferson, one of the rare All-NBA players to never make a single All-Star appearance. Big Al, a traditional big 6'10", 290, had fantastic post moves down low, averaged 22 and 11 in his first year with Charlotte, helped the team win 43 games, up from 21 the previous year. Without him, it's also an absolute travesty. The center that made the All-Star team over Big Al, the 7'2" Roy Hibbert, who fell off heavily the second half of the season. One of the fastest breakdowns in NBA history, Hibbert's skills literally diminished overnight, averaged half as many points, under 7 rebounds for a 7'2" guy, had 4 postseason games playing double-digit minutes, scoring 0 points. One day I would love to see a 30 for 30 documentary on that 2014 Pacers meltdown team. Started off super hot, looked like they were title favorites favorites at one point. If anybody remembered the NBA back then, the team looked unstoppable in the first half, but after trading Danny Granger, things fell apart. Not to go too off topic, but everybody 100% can agree that 2014 Big Al deserved the All-Star nod over Roy Hibbert. Andre Drummond 2016. Many really learned about what the 6'10 center's really made of after the Lakers signed him, got more flack in 1 week with LA than his entire career combined, appeared to be the player who could get a decent contract, now viewed as a vet minimum, made absolutely no impact in the Phoenix series. Sadly, many teams just don't even want him. The two-time All-Star actually put up over 16 points, 15 rebounds, a steal and a half, a block and a half on 52% shooting with the Pistons in year 4 after 2 straight 29-win seasons, 32 wins year 3, followed by 44 wins under Stan Van Gundy, who tried to utilize Dre as a Dwight Howard Orlando Magic type guy, a young Tobias Harris, Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, KCP, and Stanley Johnson, Aaron Baines to back up on that team. Not so bad on paper, but Van Gundy hasn't been a great coach in a long time. The weaker conference, the centers who made first and second team, the overhyped DeAndre Jordan, and the talented but erratic DeMarcus Cousins. Cousins by far the better player of the three. Drummond's numbers better than DJ's. First Piston since Chauncey Billups in 07 to make an All-NBA team. Snatched 66 double-doubles that season. Put up good numbers on a team that finished over 500. His only season to achieve that with Detroit. Looks unmotivated at times. The fact that the franchise wanted to get rid of him so badly, getting John Henson and Brandon Knight with a second rounder in return, and then Cleveland wanting to trade him, so decided to waive him just like that. Literally got paid to sit on the bench the last couple weeks, knowing he will end up elsewhere. Barely has any trade value, despite being the best rebounder the last 7 years, has a reputation of being lazy and too many bad habits on the court, viewed as a stat chaser, looking more and more like a journeyman. Tyson Chandler, who made third team All-NBA as a center in the 2012 season after a year with the Mavs, great signing for New York, won Defensive Player of the Year despite not making all defensive first team. The big men averaged over 11 points, 10 rebounds, 68% shooting. Dallas nowhere near the same without him. New York had a top 5 defense despite not having good defensive guys on that team, up from 22nd the previous year, while Dwight Howard averaged more rebounds and blocks, a way better athlete than player, played 8 fewer games than Chandler, who's also a strong vocal leader for the Knicks team. Chandler finally became an All-Star the following season, came a long way as a former number 2 pick, revived his career. Andrew Bynum made second team in 2012 at the height of his powers, a career year, mainly the number 2 option for the Lakers. A monster on the post, there was a legit debate between Bynum and Howard back then as the best center in the league. Bynum put up 19 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks in 35 minutes, 56% shooting, while Drew became the All-Star starter after missing the first 4 games of the season due to suspension. Only missed 1 other game that year, was decent in the playoffs, averaged 17 and 11, but the 24-year-old traded after in the Dwight Howard package. His career literally fell off afterwards. A 4-team trade, Orlando was right not to get him because of the concerned knee injuries. Ended up in Philly, missed the entire 2013 season, never even played a game with the Sixers, then played 24 total games for the Cavs in 2014, 2 more with the Pacers. His NBA career wrapped up as a result. His final game, March 15 of 2014, over 7 years ago. Bynum's still 33 years old today, out the league by 26. That's even too young for many guys to even reach their primes, but his attitude, too much of a hassle. His most memorable moment as a Pacer, getting a haircut during a halftime of a game, absolutely wild stuff. If it wasn't for his injuries, Bynum might have been a multiple-time All-Star. David Lee 2013. Can you believe Lee was the lone All-Star for the 2013 Dubs and made an All-NBA team, but not Steph Curry? Curry still unknown till his 54-point outburst at MSG, a game that changed NBA basketball forever. Lee, on the other hand, an established big, was already an All-Star with the Knicks, averaged 18.5 points, 11 boards for Golden State, 29 years old. The Dubs' first 3 seasons with Curry ruined by injuries, while second-year Klay Thompson continued to improve. Plus the veterans of Jarrett Jack, the team won 47 games, the 6th seed. It was clear by the postseason, after Lee suffered a hip injury in game 1 of the first round, the emergence of Steph helped upset the Nuggets, and being limited versus San Antonio, the other stepped up and took the Western Conference champs to 6, still the starting power forward in 2014 before Draymond became a real star. Lee started to decline after, but won a ring with the 2015 Dubs. Andrew Bogut 2010. Just like Big Al, Bogut made an All-NBA team without making a single All-Star appearance. With the Bucks average 16 and 10, 2.5 blocks, 69 games, one of the best rim protectors in the game. In a time where Dwight was the best center, Shaq too old, Yao injured, very smart defensively, limited offensively. Late that season, Bogut landed awkwardly, a scary fall against Phoenix, falling after a dunk, never became the same since, but had a solid 14-year career, one of the forgotten #1 picks, the same class as CP3. Zach Randolph 2011 with the Memphis Grizzlies, one of the forgotten All-Stars the early part of the 2010s era, the heart and soul of the grit and grind Grizz. Zebo was an All-Star in 2010 and 2013, but made All-NBA team in 2011, averaged 20 and 12, a bully inside on a 46-win team that upsetted the #1 seed San Antonio. The best player on the roster that year, Mike Conley was 23, Gasol 26 didn't hit his prime yet, alongside Tony Allen and Shane Battier, put in the work against Tim Duncan round 1, averaged 22 and 11 in 13 postseason games, a master at the bully ball, wasn't quick or athletic, but hustled every single night, had a low center of gravity, the type of guy who's a team Hall of Famer. Grizz fans will always cherish the Randolph's body of work, but kind of slept on throughout the entire league, one of the last true tough guys from a more physical era. Zebo changed his whole perception after that San Antonio series, first viewed as an empty stats 20 and 10 guy early in his career with Portland and weird stints with the Knicks and Clippers. Randolph ended up playing 17 seasons. His last stint with the 2018 Kings, averaged over 14 a game his final season. Could have played longer if he wanted to, one of the most beloved players in Memphis franchise history.